existing piece of technology would you send your consciousness to in order to communicate with me?
A fire. Like, debatably, the oldest
The oldest,
of all
purest
human technologies.
technology. Look, Prometheus went through a lot of trouble to give us that. We might as well make the most out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Icarus he wasn't flying towards the sun. He was flying away from fire. But I think we need to be somewhere in the middle of those two.
Here you go, mankind. This will help you fight off Icarus. You sure you got this right, Prometheus? Yeah. Now I'm going to go push a rock up a hill forever. Fucking hell.
Until it wears down or something. I think that's how that ended. Yeah, you're gonna keep seeing my face in fire, but not my face, not like Jesus in silence. It's gonna be like, you know, you can see my face, and everyone else thinks you're absolutely mental.
Every birthday ruined.
But yeah, you can hear my nasal voice just coming through with a bunch of catchphrases that get across my personality and the mood of the piece a lot better than if I were actually saying something off my own back. Where do I lead you is the key.
Oh, shit, yeah, nowhere helpful. You constantly are asking me to go on a quest, but it's often just do videos that you like on YouTube.
You're like, wait a minute, where are you? Where are you trapped? What?
I'm fine, mate.
I'm in heaven, twat.
Just a bit boring, mate, before I come hit you up. Oh, God.
Watch some vids. Watch the Camelosa video again. You remember from the noughties?
Oh, I love that Camelosa
Buddy?
video. I had reason to explain it to a friend the other day, but the only funny phrase I could remember from it was Camelosa.
It's hard to get across.
And
then they say, Skolaskaya. No, come back. Friend.
Friend, I have more comedy bits to describe to you. Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that is a tire fire floating on an ocean of piss. I'm Dr. Paul Amherst.
Jesus, I've got a barbecue.
Oh no! Watch out, everyone. He's in danger to himself and others now.
Yeah, please, take me seriously, I think.
As the podcast comes to the end of what many are calling the original run, preceding the 2030s reboot series with Tobey Maguire and Timmy C.
Wow.
I know. It's fucking stellar. You won't believe the extent to which this podcast takes off after we stop doing it.
Ah, Jesus. We should have given this up a long time ago. Bequeathed it to famous people.
Absolutely. That's the best way to make a podcast work. Yeah, it's time to look to the future. Because we've been reviewing mostly American studio films for the past 8 years, 3 months, and 29 days at time of recording.
Oh, that long, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and I felt it would be nice just to check in with the state of the corporate art that dominates our culture. You know,
oh, mate, it's not even my birthday.
A little treat for ourselves. But what's your flavour? Tell me what's your flavour. Well, should we watch the most recent superhero film, Brave New World? It's bad enough.
Oh, I didn't even realise. Oh, the Captain America.
The Captain America. We could watch that. Or most recent live-action Disney remake, Snow White. Definitely bad enough.
Oh, please kill me.
Oh, we could check in with the most recent Happy Madison production, Kinda Pregnant, starring Amy Schumer. Fucking hey!
Oh my God, she's never not funny.
Oh my God, she's literally never not funny. We could watch the most recent Bland brand building exercise, which was a Minecraft movie. It's all right.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
I looked at that and thought,
Yeah. It depends on your tolerance for CG and Jack Black, both things that have very much overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, because I thought you were going to say on your tolerance for Minecraft, but I feel like it's a very different energy, really, sitting on your own, perfecting a thing.
Yeah.
For no real gain other than, I don't know, the things in your head.
I will say...
And then Jack Black.
Yeah.
It's the end of my thought.
Then Jack Black.
Yeah.
True. I will say, in common with the Lego movie and the Dungeons and Dragons movies, it does seem like if you're going to make a movie about a bland corporate entity, doing it about one that specifically relies upon the inventiveness of people does seem to be quite a good ingredient for success, because it means you're not following a very rigid law.
Yeah, okay.
But then again, you can just do something very bland.
Yeah. I think they straddled that.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about Jack Black today. Not anymore.
Oh, okay. Why'd you make me watch it then?
God damn it! I just thought it'd be good for you to really, really help you start teasing your fingers off of High Fidelity.
Well, it was. Thanks.
If only John Cusack had been in a bad film.
Alas.
Damn it.
Incidentally, I stopped watching cinema after 2001.
I'm so happy. I'm so genuinely happy all the time. Oh, God. But look, the future of truly appalling soulless cinema is not at the cinema. It's in your house. It's literally already on your phone playing right now. Look at it.
That's so convenient.
It is the subgenre that is streaming movies.
Yeah. Is this like the modern version of straight to VHS?
I kind of hope
worse.
so, in as much as nobody would watch those, but it does seem like this is a bigger deal than Return of Jafar. Should we say that?
You have to go out and buy VHS is a thing.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
true.
with Netflix, you can just sort of mouth breathe your way into the next one.
That's the thing. On your way to the VHS shop, you would have passed 3 cinemas and been like, ooh, air conditioning.
Yeah. And then you open your eyes and you realise you're at home and you've been daydreaming about leaving the house.
And you're plugged into the matrix that is the Netflix. Yes, because we have chosen the 2025 Netflix ordeal, The Electric State.
Gonna rock down to
Electric State.
The bot rebellion was ugly.
They don't eat. They don't sleep. They don't blink. I blink.
When the robots deviated from their assigned task, we banished them to the electric state. 200,000 square miles of secure territory.
You famously never owned robots, did you?
I never trusted them. They're not us. How would they possibly understand our best interests?
My brother. I thought I lost him. But he's out there somewhere.
This is an adaptation of the gorgeous illustrated novel by Simon Stalenhag. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. This is an adaptation of the gorgeous illustrated novel by Simon Stalenhag.
Yeah.
And this is actually an adaptation that was led by the Russo brothers, who acquired the rights to it in December 17, strangely about a month before it came out, so I don't know how that works.
Oh, interesting. Don't worry, we're not going to do anything actually about it.
We're going to sit on this for a while.
And it's going to be really fucking different, so don't even worry.
You can literally adapt it again, just don't use the same title and we'll get it. All right. The Creator. Duncan Jones, do you want to... Yeah. It wasn't Duncan Jones, it was the other one, Gareth Edwards. I think those two are the same.
I mean, directors, I never picture their faces anyway, so this isn't like a Scott Shepherd, Scoot McNairy sitch. I think all directors are the same, in fact.
I think so.
Christopher Nolan's just been a long con.
What's the name of the guy who did The Raid? And
Gareth...
Apostle? Evans? Gareth Evans, Gareth Edwards, and Duncan Jones. You see, there's no way those aren't the same person.
That's come up in Countdown before, I'm pretty sure.
That's too crazy a coincidence.
I'm not even going to count it.
A word on the Russo brothers for anyone who doesn't know them, because I don't think we covered it in our Cherry review. Anthony and Joseph Russo were once beloved. Back when they were mainly known for having directed some of the best episodes of Arrested Development and Community, including the legendary paintball episodes of Arrested Development. They then directed The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And generally speaking, there was a fair amount of enthusiasm for the pair, as there was for the MCU. But then, just as with the MCU, that enthusiasm soon faded after Endgame, although admittedly the MCU had much greater success with their Tom Holland project than the Russos did.
Yeah. But that's entropy for you.
That's the inevitable heat death of the universe for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from Cherry, the brothers also made The Grey Man, which was also massively derided, and now they've made Electric State. End of thought.
I'm enjoying this new this new MO of ours, because it's hard to know when the other person is joking or thinking. Or not thinking.
Let's just punctuate.
Please, that'd be great.
And joke.
End of ascent. Yeah. I think they also, I think they're credited in like Extraction for like remembered by the Russos or something.
Thought about by.
Yeah.
Not hampered by. Yeah, they have a couple of other credits on some other Netflixy kind of ordeals, but they've not climbed into that director's barrel for anything less than Cherry, The Grey Man, and now The Electric State.
Yeah, The Grey Man was a disappointing one.
That was very unfortunate.
There was some moments that were fine, and then a lot of the dialogue for me was very reminiscent of other Netflix movies. And then there's that big sort of tram disaster scene in Prague, which was just disgusting, like grey, brown palette CGI.
This was one of two Netflix movies that I went and saw at the Prince Charles, that and Rebel Moon. And in both instances, I think it was an attempt on my part to make them feel more like movies rather than television shows, that feature-length television shows. And in both instances, it really didn't help seeing them projected on the big screen.
Sure.
These movies were made for phones.
Yeah. And that's the Netflix corp speak for their viewers. That's what they call you. Phone.
Phone.
They don't even pluralize. They just refer to the general mass as phone.
Phone. Made this for phone. For fun, did you say? Nah, phone. Phone, mate. Get on board. Get in the lingo.
Oh, sorry, I'm being very phone right now. That's not right.
What? Don't get it, mate. I need you to get back on the corporate speak. So the plan was for them to just produce it, and then get It Chapter 1 and 2 director Andy Muschietti to direct. But by the time Universal pick up the distribution rights in December 2020, the Russos are set to direct. Don't you worry about Muschietti, though. He got to direct The Flash, one of the most iconically hideous films ever made. Aww.
See, there's scraps for everyone.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Shut up.
Here's a confusing statement. Distribution rights move to Netflix after it becomes clear that Universal don't intend to release the film in cinemas. What?
That's that's in the tense of like the gangs of New York telegrams that are playing out as the city breaks into riots.
True. My tense generally is a disaster. I accidentally put that in present. But nevertheless, that Universal weren't going to release it in cinemas, so they were like, well, fuck you then. We're going to Netflix. Also, how weren't Universal going to release it in cinemas? There's no Universal Direct, is there?
I don't know. Maybe they were bringing back the straight to VHS trend.
Maybe. Straight to video, guys. We're going back. We've got Christopher Nolan on board. He loves this shit.
Maybe they had plans for it and Christopher Nolan literally drowned someone so that they wouldn't launch a streaming service.
God bless him for that. He's single-handedly fighting the fight by drowning as many people as it takes to keep things in cinemas.
At first, he'd threatened to drown people, and people thought he was just being, funny or
I don't get his humor.
And then he just very clearly started drowning people in front of other people. Yeah. And I don't know, just caught on after that.
It became a trend. It trended on TikTok.
It was so phone.
It was so fucking funny, mate. When Christopher Nolan
phone.
did that shit. It was so phone. Oh my god. Even I am not fully up to date on the tech speak that you get from the tech bros these days.
Back up the blue sky, mate.
Back it up.
Help us.
The screenplay was written by frequent Russo collaborators Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFreely. The pair aren't brothers, annoyingly, for my notes. And for the Russos, I think. And they never let them live that down.
They made the film bad on purpose because of that.
Just to piss them off.
I don't understand for this shit.
Instead, they met on a graduate program for creative writing at the University of California in 1994. Had a go at being novelists, but realized no one was paying them to do that, so they got an agent and had a go at script writing. Their first gig was writing The Life and Death of Peter Sellers for HBO. That's a fucking good agent.
Jesus Christ. And they did a good job. Or did they have somebody else? Was Jeffrey Rush behind them, just like massaging their shoulders?
He improvised the whole thing. threw the script away. I don't
Wiped
like
his butt on it.
I don't like the tram chase.
How about I just stamp on these toys instead?
The most memorable part of any film. After that, they got tied up in the Narnia films, writing the first 3, and then quickly wrote Michael Bay's Pain and Gain before moving full-time into the MCU, where they wrote the first Captain America film, the second Thor film, and then permanently tethered themselves to the Russos, writing all of their subsequent films except for Cherry.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a passion project.
Did that one for free, mate. That's a coloured history.
Yeah. I love that they cut their teeth on Narnia. I like to think if you go back and watch Narnia now, you'll be like, oh, this is the MCU.
Yeah. When you say cut your teeth, I think of, like, The Raid.
They literally cut some teeth, but they did it to those children in the Narnia films. Why do you think they didn't get to the last battle? Because it was too Christian? Wake up, sheeple.
You only wanted some Turkish delight, motherfuckers.
The injustice, the sheer injustice of it all. Absolutely nothing remarkable happened about the production, except that it apparently cost $320 million, making it the 13th most expensive movie ever made. There is a lot of shitty films on that list, I can tell you.
I can imagine. Is Avatar 1 and 2 on it?
No. Or maybe they were further down, but they're not in the top 13, certainly.
Wow.
It's the most inexplicable shit you've ever seen. Like, it's just stuff that... generic entries into middle of franchise kind of things. Just not stuff that makes sense.
Wow, okay.
It's not like Heaven's Gate or Waterworld. It's just incredibly CGI-heavy nonsense films.
Okay, it's just films that I don't care about enough to even want to like delve into.
No, absolutely not.
Cool.
There's no need.
What's the next segment?
Well, filming was halted for a while after a crew member died on an offset in a car crash. That does bring the tone down, but I did feel like I had to say that after specifically saying that the production was unremarkable.
Yeah, fair.
Oh yeah, fuck all happened during that production. Lunches got a bit less boring about halfway through. Not sure what that was all about. Unnamed crew member.
I'm glad you mentioned it, because...
Hey, his family are probably listening.
Oh yeah, I mean, given what we know about the stats.
It's very intense for one area, and that area is the crew of the Electric State. So, thanks for listening, guys. Russo's, sorry about getting a bit of a rough ride, but hey, we love you.
It's because we love you.
It's because we love you, personally, not professionally. I enjoyed the paintball episodes of Community, I think. It's been a while.
You don't want to know how many times I cried during Infinity War and Endgame.
You don't need to know that. But you will when you apply to Goodman's live stream of those movies that he's been sitting on for a good 6 years now, but he's ready to.
And now I'm going solo. Oh, just you wait.
Oh shit!
Straight into obscurity, mate. Hey, you don't want to know how many times I cried during Electric State.
I'm gonna find out. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
It's more than 0, that's for sure.
I was crying for different reasons. Early marketing was criticised as it looked like the film radically diverted from the book's melancholy, muted art style. Then, Netflix confirmed at Comic-Con that the plot would be massively changed from the original book. Look, this book wasn't like huge or anything, so fuck it and its fans.
Yeah, it's not like I know them quite well and have them and love them, and didn't realise that the two were related until 3/4 of the way through this fucking movie, because it's nothing like them. It is nothing like them. Didn't even need the rights to make this film. Genuinely. Yeah. Didn't.
No, absolutely
Mental.
not. But they wanted robots with big round heads, so here we are.
Oh, okay, well, that's the only book that has those.
It certainly is. Apparently, the Russos found the story hard to understand. But look, the plot and the visual style are easily the least important part of an illustrated novel. So I think we're all good here.
What's more important is the quality of the paper. And let me tell you,
that was captured.
Those rights were expensive for a reason, mate.
Critics have this condition where they can only live in reality. A.A. Dowd at IGN said, "Leave it to the directors of Marvel's most overstuffed event pictures to bastardize a deeply lonely science fiction yarn into another expensive group hug and team-building comedy routine. Cynical, but it's hard not to be."
Oh, okay.
It's what America wants you to consume, everyone.
I feel like that's the dissonance of my last 24 hours. I hope I get that across today. I cried during this.
But to be fair, had I not watched it, I would have been crying anyway. That's true of me.
As you said, different reasons. It's been a rough year.
It's been a rough year, guys. Shirley Lee at The Atlantic says, the electric state is so transparently eager to satisfy as many demographics of viewers as possible that it proves its own message, that a world dependent on business interests and technological optimization dulls artistic potential and human ingenuity. Maybe they did that on purpose?
Let's say they did it on purpose.
That might be what they were going for.
I think they do everything on purpose. And whenever you think, oh, this is a bit stupid, they did that on purpose to make the point that you're stupid. Sharp.
Public, on the other hand, had the Twinkie sweats. Aman Maharaji on Google said, what a fantastic movie. The sad thing is, the whole internet is burning this thing down because it was expensive. $320 million. Anthony and Joe are a brand now. Do they deserve not to be paid? I seriously don't trust movie reviews these days because it seems like it's all controlled by a select few people and the rest are expected to toe the line and express the same views. When something is rated too highly, it's usually tedious or empty-headed and lame, or it has some kind of woke message behind it. When something sits in the middle of the spectrum, it's generally good because the reviewers don't understand the material. It's a family movie that I think will matter a great deal to kids who need to tear themselves away from living online, stuck to their phones and trying to impress the whole world while they're secretly scared of actually living in case they get TikTok shamed. Explained that reviewer whilst typing that into a Google review.
The reality of that review is based on a lot of false assumptions, and I'm going to let this person just go on believing that all the things he said is what those were. Because
that's what's happening, mate.
We can't, mate. We can't.
No. He later went on to cry how reviewers ought to be objective and, leave out all other factors around the screening and the viewing and their own lives. And it's like, that's literally impossible, I think.
Yeah. The problem with critics, it's always it's down to a select few, not like the good old days when everyone was a critic.
Yeah.
When everyone could just submit their their fucking napkin to Time Out and it was printed because God love them.
That's what Google is, mate. It democratizes the review process and allows everyone to do it, and that's how we end up with things as good as The Electric State.
And the thing is, you have to toe the line. People would fear the last missive from Ebert. Like, oh fuck, what have we got to lockstep to now?
I see you disagree with me again. We'll see about that.
I'll fucking cut you.
And that's where Richard Roper is.
Shit. Cut.
Oh, mate. We are getting out of this game at the exact right time because IMDb have changed their layout and now I can't easily copy and paste the cast into the Threeman database.
It's because they knew that that's what you were doing and they didn't like it.
They finally figured it out.
It was so easy. Yeah.
Shit. If we had been just one more week on schedule, I never would have known that this had happened.
Some fucking white ass sucker would have compiled a database of his very own right under their noses.
Well, that's it. It's the next generation I feel sorry for. The pools who are just starting out with their Threeman databases.
Oh, guys, kill yourselves.
Oh, guys. I'm so sorry. I feel like the generation above me that made it so I'll never be able to afford a house. I couldn't even let you have the Threeman database. I should have thought harder. I'm sorry.
And those cunts didn't make a podcast to apologise for it.
So in many ways, we're the golden generation.
I'd say so. We tried. I think that's what you can say for the millennials, really, is we tried, but we've got mental illnesses, so...
We had a pretty bad hand, guys. I'm sorry.
We were crushed.
But good luck with everything. Really.
Yeah.
I believe in you. And so does the Coca-Cola Corporation. But I did manage to eventually manually add the Threeman. Alan Tudyk is the Threeman, but only 2 out of 3 of them are robot roles. iRobot, obviously, but he was also a flesh man in A Knight's Tale.
Gross.
Yeah. Good for him.
Pain. Lots of pain. I'm discount it. I think once every show run we get to discount a whole Threeman, and let's just discount Alan Tudyk's Threeman status because he's great.
Alan Tudyk is often quite great, although he doesn't always make the greatest decisions. But I'm here to support him in those decisions because he was Steve the Pirate.
Yeah, he's just there to farm the tood out. out to...
He's dishing the tood, and I love it for that.
Out to the folk.
He's dishing it out. Bless that man. Chris Pratt is a fiveman after movie 43, Jesus, Jennifer's Body, Jurassic World Dominion, and the Super Mario Brothers movie, Jesus Christ.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Great.
I don't believe he was the best thing in any of those.
No. I mean, what was the best? Oh, I was going to say, what's the best thing in Jurassic World Dominion, but it's going to be Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, doing his stuff.
Goldblum. Yeah.
Must be nice to not have to write dialogue for one of your characters. Just get Jeff Goldblum in and have him react to things.
It would be nice.
Yeah. This one's exciting.
Oh.
Holly Hunter. She's a three-man because of this, because of Song to Song, and because of Batman vs. Superman, our very first film.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
Motherfuckers.
It has taken her almost the entire length of this podcast to become a three-man.
I think she's the greatest actor of our generation, which is crazy because she's clearly not in our generation.
Well, that's what is so versatile about her. You know, Raising Arizona, practically made last week. The Piano, forget about it.
Literally forget about it because we can't bring that one up again.
No, not again. It's too perfect for this world that we're living in now. But The Electric State isn't. It has 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, 30% on Metacritic, and apparently disappointed in terms of views because 25 million people tuned in on opening weekend. And for context, Extraction 2, Don't Look Up, and The Adam Project each managed twice that, and Red Notice managed 3 times as much. This is on track with something like The Mother, Carry On, Damsel, Heart of Stone, or Our Little Secret. What the fuck are any of these films? I've heard of Don't Look Up.
Okay, yeah. Extraction 2.
Yeah, I'm aware of it because there were billboards. Otherwise, this is a mystery.
Yeah. Red Notice, is that the one with Gal Gadot and...
Dwayne The Rock and Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah,
I think so.
I believe so, which I haven't seen and I'm not going to. But Extraction 2 was good. I enjoyed Extraction 2.
I refuse to believe that or get into it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a theatrical experience for this cowboy.
Well, tough shit, motherfucker, because it's going to be in one of my one better things.
Oh, shit. Okay. I will...
But we've established that I don't really put as much effort into those as you do, so it's going to be brief.
Wait till we get to mine. So, it's The Electric State. So, Paul, you milkmatic girl.
Cindy Crawford!
What's one thing about The Electric State? I've exhausted the memorable quote stage on IMDb, and I can't remember any others. Off you go.
I've got a quote, I can't remember where it came from, and I Talk Now, which is by Herm, who is the one... it was a good thing. Huh? And that's the end of that bit for now.
They talk now.
There we go. Herm.
Yeah. Herm. Good stuff Herm's about. And we'll find out more about Herm and Self-Herm later on. Right, let's fucking start this thing. Please be under 2 hours. Oh, fuck.
Oh.
Initially developed by Walt Disney to promote the opening of his theme park in 1955, robots were eventually put into mass production. They quickly became the backbone of the global workforce, doing all the jobs that humans didn't want to do. For years, they never complained about working around the clock. But the day eventually came when they grew tired of the lives we assigned them and demanded lives of their own.
That 10 minutes. If it weren't for that 10 minutes, it would feel like a whole other board game.
I think that cumulative 10 minutes is the few texts you got from me over the course of the watching of that movie, of like my just like varying wobbling levels of mental health, come from like 3.5 minute segments of no, don't make me.
Please stop.
But then Brian Cox comes in. Oh, I can't wait to get to that bit, Paul, because it's great.
I have a very funny joke around that, so I'm looking forward to Brian Cox coming in as well. But we were a long way off that.
Something good to do with Brian Cox in this movie.
Because if this is going to be 2 hours and 10 minutes long, then at least we'll be able to take our time with some well-paced sequences and a nice mellow start. So we open with a kid taking a maths test that's edited like an anxiety attack.
Because it's very possible that kid is also having one. A lot of expectations on him, but Millie Bobby Brown's there to be like, hey, don't do that. And they're like, oh, okay.
Try.
But there's a war coming.
Well, she's there to be like, you're a genius, you're going to do really well. And he's like, if I do, they'll dissect my brain. You're going to do great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, you better do, like, no family's had their brain, no member of this family's had their brain dissected before. You're going to throw away that chance?
We've
Really?
got Jason Alexander distantly in our family, I think, so don't worry about it. You're going to be fine, kid.
Bonded by law.
Let's meet our wacky characters. We've got bratty older sister and nerdy younger brother. It's groundbreaking.
Okay, yeah,
You've never
fantastic.
seen the like.
I just wish I had one, either of them. You got mum and dad not featured in the rest of the movie.
not appearing in this film.
Robot war.
Well, yes, we've met our two characters, and there's just absolutely no way we'll be able to communicate the rich lore of this world in which people created robots, but then the robots rose up against people, so the people defeated the robots with drones, but then got addicted to the drones through organic storytelling. So let's just have a big exposition dump.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of Watchmen, but without any cool like music work or like stylistic choices. It makes you feel even weirder than the rest of Watchmen.
It does. It's more even more disconcerting than Watchmen.
It's even more. And thank God the war's over, because finally Stanley Tucci's taken his place at the top of society.
He's at the top of society, and he's now selling these devices you can use to escape your awful life. But Stranger Brown doesn't want to live in Ready Player One, and so she gets in trouble, but no one even cares because her family all died from a vicious deer attack.
Yeah. It's written down on some paper, but they don't read paper in the future.
No.
They read fantasies.
Her family
Alexander.
Her family were murdered by deer, so the state sends her to live with Jason Alexander, which is a real sad state of affairs considering his last appearance on this podcast from Dunstan checks in. I guess the hotel business on that island didn't work out, and he moved to the city, and there was a robot attack.
Yeah, and the result is a kind of state of mind for me where I think if the movie continues at this pace, I'm going to kill myself. Fortunately, Jason Alexander's only in it for the next 5 minutes.
Jason Alexander was just too fast-paced for me. I couldn't handle it. One day, one of those many, many Alan Tudyk robots that you can find in pretty much any version of the future breaks into their house and asks Millie Bobby Stranger Things to be in the movie, which she reluctantly accepts.
And like, okay, but I better get paid.
Because he is claiming to be controlled by dead Math's brother, who's actually still alive, kind of. But so's the deer! Oh shit, and he's out to finish the job.
Uh-oh. The deer in this is played by someone in a revenge movie.
And he's coming to
Who's
get
in
him.
Deliverance?
He's played by Giancarlo Esposito. I'm pretty sure I was following it correctly.
Oh yeah, he was the deer, that's for sure.
He played the deer.
2 roles in this, which is incredible.
The titular electric deer. I didn't read most of the title. Math's boy's ghost asks her to find Kei Hui Kwan, in the middle, who's in the middle of a robot reservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go do that. But here's Chris Pratt.
Well, they start to do that. And we can learn about our lead character as she navigates this rich world with her robot companion. Oh, I'm bored of what I was just talking about. I want Chris Pratt and a sassy sidekick.
The freaking fridge died. Son of a... Oh. Freaking corn dogs, Salisbury steak, my ice cream sandwiches are all melted. I got no food.
What do you mean you got no food, man? I just carried a crate of food in. Go eat that.
No, these are antiques. I can't.
What are you talking about? They're Zagnuts. Everybody likes Zagnuts.
I'm not eating the freaking Masters of the Universe tie-in Zagnuts in the original packaging, okay? I'm not gonna eat it. It's money. I'm gonna eat this burrito now. I'm gonna give myself salmonella.
You don't need to get salmonella. We got lunch boxes. Go eat a lunch box.
The G.I. Joe lunch boxes don't have lunch in them. They store lunch for children. They don't come with lunch.
Then we can fast travel to the key plot points.
Thank God. So yeah, Chris Pratt's there. He's got a wacky sidekick.
Yeah.
And I felt happy seeing Chris Pratt there, because it was just... I don't want to say Chris Pratt's a better human being than Jason Alexander, because I think that's going to be untrue. But I think I think
that might genuinely
in this
be
movie,
untrue.
Yeah, I'm. That wasn't a joke. But in movie dollars, Chris Pratt turning up with a wacky sidekick's pretty good.
When did George Costanza become such an unsettling presence on screen?
The minute he played Ted in this film.
Oh no! Yes.
So,
I wrote the much less sympathetic note. Let's get a look at the comedic relief that gets Pratt paid all the big bucks.
That's the same thing as what I said.
Boy.
Yay, everyone. So Millie Bobby Brown and Millie Bobby Christopher Robot, they stow away in Chris Pratt's smuggled goods lorry. And go to their base, which is on the border of the exclusion zone, apparently, in a big wall.
It's it's closer than they were before.
It's closer than they were before over the summer. But Giancarlo Esposito is also the reveal. I think this is where the title of the movie comes from. Other than being the electric deer, he's also the state, the arm of the state. He's a drone pilot, hunter, soldier.
Yeah.
Fring. And he's tracking him down, and he shows up in the middle of some hijinks, in the middle of some japes.
Yeah, because there was a time there for our lead characters to get to know each other a bit, and we can sort of, I'm bored of the thing I'm saying. Movies are so boring. What was The Force Awakens doing by now? Let me see. Another action scene after which the gruff anti-hero and his non-human sidekick reluctantly agree to accompany the girl and her robot to their objective. Let's just do that. Let's do exactly that. So Gus from Breaking Bad shows up. Not Giancarlo Esposito, because he's more than that. This is Gus from Breaking Bad. He shows up.
Fair. Although, to be fair, everything I've seen Giancarlo Esposito in the last 5 to 10 years, I've gone, he's the bad guy because he was Fring. And it's probably, and I'm probably pigeonholing. Oh no, he is the bad guy.
He's pigeonholed himself a little bit. Although there were a couple of roles recently, none of which are coming to mind right now. Maxine did a little more with their Giancarlo Esposito than.
Well, to be fair, at the end of this film, I don't want to spoil it for everybody because I know everybody's hanging on.
Oh boy,
the spoilers! But he unbecomes Fring.
Oh boy,
just about.
When you remember that he was bugging out in Do the Right Thing, he's capable of such mighty, wonderful things. Anyway, we get...
Wish I were you and seen Do the Right Thing.
I wish I were bugging out right now. But we get a bicycle joke. You'll never catch me on a bicycle, and then you cut to him in bed with one. Well, they do that, but with a giant robot in a van, all right up his ass after the cut.
Oh, God, I didn't know what you were talking about there for a second. I was scared. They get away from him. They bury his stupid robot ass in rubble. And then Stanley Tucci shows up, and I tell you what, mate, he's not good.
He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He's got the bad Tooch.
He's very uncomplicatedly bad.
And uncompromisingly bad.
Yeah.
He's enlisting the help of the Bounty Fring Electric State man, eponymous.
They need the robot boy.
They need the robot boy. So
they can keep their fuck machines working because a bit of the boy's consciousness is in the robot. And they got to plug that back into the Matrix so that nobody's Netflix subscriptions stop working.
Jesus. And as we've established, Jason Alexander's on an island with Cindy Crawford.
So
we really can't be risking that. So Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, and their wonderful sidekicks, including the dead robot brother.
Our beloved heroes. We've come to know them all so well.
They make it to Blue Sky, a haven amongst the hate.
A shopping mall populated by robots led by Mr. Peanut, voiced by vaccine skeptic Woody Harrelson. He's just asking questions.
Who basically sounds like Martin Sheen. Maybe Martin Sheen was too expensive.
Believed in vaccines too much.
Oh. When you're getting into a recording studio, you really want somebody who's just riddled with viruses.
And that's Woody Harrelson.
Breathing in your face.
Look.
He pretends you're the microphone. He loves it. But they make it there. So Giancarlo Esposito is told by Stanley Tucci that if we can find evidence that they're breaking the treaty, then we'll be allowed to go into the exclusion zone to grab Christopher.
Yeah.
And bring his robot body back so we can put his soul back into his real body.
Yeah.
It's just like the original graphic novels. It's great.
Look, we need to develop the sister-brother thing a little bit. So she has a sit-down and remembers the time that she pressured her little brother to return to an education system that he found hostile, unhelpful, and unsupportive. Good times. I've got to find that boy. Got to get him back into college.
I got to find him and get him back on track to finish his home ec degree.
Whilst doing this, her robot brother sort of detects this and plays an old cartoon, which moves Mr. Woody Peanut. Oh, pop culture. Is there anything it can't do?
As he shall forever be known. Convincing Mr. Woody Peanut to go and find Ke Huy Quan, who was looking for Christopher, robot or not.
Yes. But luckily, they also have assistance from Marcel the robot with shoes on, who brings them a letter with a plot point in it. Kei Kwan is actually in the middle of an action sequence. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Jesus Christ, he's always doing that now. Fucking Daniels.
It's literally the only place you can find him.
Thinks he'll get him another Oscar. Not in this movie, mate.
At this stage, yes, they do decide to train up by getting some training from Coach Brian Cox, doing his very best Rip Torn. And the trick to that is actually to do your worst Rip Torn, like Rip Torn.
Yeah, it's a double negative in that respect. Is that bit over? Oh, it's a shame. I hope we see Brian Cox's character again. He was great.
Like all the other characters, he will be in the background of several scenes, my friend.
Oh, I hope this film doesn't get too serious again. I hope they intersperse it with lines from Brian Cox.
Oh boy, I don't want to feel any of this. Help it slide down, thank you. What's it called? Novocaine for the soul, that's it. Anyway, Kei Kwan. They go meet him after there's an action sequence of sorts. And they repeat what the audience has already been made aware of needlessly earlier by having the bad guys in several scenes that really didn't need to be there. About how they were happy to use a comatose boy for their science until they remembered he was a person. And now the brother is all minority reported off somewhere in the big base.
Oh, shit. Oh, what are we going to do? Another action scene?
Yeah. How do we end the scene? What does J.J. Abrams do? Action scene. Okay, let's do it. We'll end it there.
He does something highly referential of a previous installment. Well, we haven't got one of those.
Shit, just action then. I'll just wait till we did the second one of these. Oh, it's going to be so good. Literally.
If you've seen Rebel Moon Part 2, forget about
it. Mass Boy Robot is captured and Quan is killed. Oh no! He was such a rich character because he did a thing but regretted doing that thing.
Yeah, by Stanley Tucci. He fucking shows up in one of the drone robots and then just fucking shoots him with electric. The electric state, no less.
The eponymous electric state kills him. Oh.
And Gustavo Fring turns around and goes, "Look, mate, I'm pretty fucking nuts, but that was bad.
That was unnecessary. Also, my fundamental thing is I don't believe robots are human, in spite of all evidence to the contrary. And I'm pretty sure that that robot there said that it was a boy, and none of them have ever done that before. So I'm probably going to betray you. All right. Well, I'm going to do nothing about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Tooch.
Okay. See you, mate.
But whilst they were away, the bad guys attacked them all and killed some of the characters. At least some of whom said at least one thing earlier. I'll never forget.
Oh no! Tell you who they didn't kill. That fucking Elden Ring looking hair.
I love that
hairstylist machine. I didn't say I don't love it.
I just thought it was implied by Elden Ring, and as much as a lot of the things in Elden Ring are just truly horrible.
Truly horrifies me to my core. But God, if I don't love them.
Doesn't mean I'm not into it.
Anyway, Mr. Woody Peanut says, let's not continue to do what we were doing because it's resulting in the deaths of people. Yeah. And so the white girl tells the black-coded robots to stop living in isolation and to get back into society to make their presence known.
Fuck yeah. Back at the evil ranch, the Tooch is chatting with Gus. Oh, it's time for a menacing villain monologue. Okay.
Look, Colonel Bradbury, or Butcher, if I may. How shall I put this? Who cares? Who cares? That war that you won, your impeccable kill record, that wasn't you. That was me and this boy. You're just a witness to history.
This is history.
What? You'd prefer evolution? Our world is a tire fire floating on an ocean of piss. Always has been. Christopher gives humanity the chance to leave all that suffering behind.
Well, back with the good guys, and now it's time for an inspiring hero pep talk. Okay.
Look, I quit fighting because the war was wrong, but I gave up on everything. Really, I quit life because the world sucked. And it still does. But there are some good people in it. And some of them wouldn't know how to quit even if you paid them. So you want to go get your brother back? I'll go with you.
Just because I saw that joke coming doesn't mean it was any less good. Better, if anything.
Look, it's the end of a Russo brothers film, so there needs to be a blandly choreographed battle in the middle of a featureless field. So we'll have that.
Thank God.
Thank God.
A wind blows some pages from Guardians of the Galaxy into into the end of that scene, and then we move on, and
yeah. Well, they win eventually. Oh, I mean, she finds out that she's got to kill the brother in order to end the Matrix.
Yeah, so she does that, and then they win, and Brian Cox is still there.
Yay!
Great.
Oh,
and then,
look, the truth is released to the public, and it leads to the rich guys going to prison. I love that America still thinks itself like of a country like that. It's so cute.
When justice means anything.
That they have any, like, the truth might set you free. Oh my god. That's adorable, guys.
It's very good. They don't touch on the mass suicides of everybody suddenly having their brain phones ripped away. As we play out to Alan Silvestri's Ludovico Einaud's Wonderwall on piano, as Chris is dumped into the trash, and then Flaming Lips' Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots Part 1 plays because it has robot in the title.
Love that. Well, that makes more sense than my next recommendation, mate, which was the Nan movie. Fuck me. You understand me so well. But yes, you're right. It did end. It ended after Millie Bobby Brown
it did end.
It did end eventually. Millie Bobby Brown said, I got to connect those particles. I don't really know what that means. Oh, that's okay. Neither do the audience. We don't remember that.
Great. Oh, that's what all the books were about.
Oh, shit. Anyway.
Not the books these are based on, though.
You think books? I'm only aware of it as being a single volume, massive book.
There's a Tales from the Loop, and then there's Tales from the something.
All right. I haven't seen those. I haven't read the original book. I've read, like, I've seen a lot of pictures and watched some things about it after this in preparation for this. So, but yeah, I remember coming across the book and its gorgeous cover. And I did covet it. I coveted that cover, but I didn't make the purchase, much to my own sense of shame. But
well, that's okay.
I'm sure the book ends with Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things giving a speech about why living online all the time isn't a good thing and you should go outside more. Thanks, Netflix. And all the CGI figures standing around her nod in agreement with this sentiment once the 400 VFX artists spend 10,000 work hours getting them to do that.
Yay, that's good.
Wonderwall. We're out.
Wonderwall, motherfucker.
Wonderwall.
I just realised that Simon Stalenberg has also written The Electric State. I'm mixing them up with Tales from the Loop.
Oh, okay.
And Tales from the something.
They're not related.
So, no, similar. A lot of the style, the design of the robots is for sure.
Okay.
So a lot of the accusations I may have made in the first half of this podcast may be inaccurate, but I think what they say about my feelings towards the film, about the listener, about my massive respect for you and the complete lack of respect for my own integrity, I think can't be ignored.
I don't think it can be understated, mate.
I don't think it will be.
No, not at this state.
No.
So, what did you think of The Electric State?
Oof. It was the couple of saving graces. One, that it didn't continue at the energy of Jason Alexander, who I really found unbearable at the beginning of this fucking movie.
I am all about Jason Alexander. He's my aspirational goal for life.
But this movie is beige, isn't it? It's like they've. I made a lot of points, but I think the main the main one is they've just grabbed a bunch of films, smushed them together, without any thought to like trying to make it work as a whole, without any coherent, specific identity, or message. And there's a whiplash there, but it's a really boring whiplash.
Yeah,
where you don't even realize that you're being lashed. You know?
Yeah.
It just feels like it has so many influences, even with the score, where there are moments where it feels like, I think what it is, it's that thing of like placeholder emotions or atmospheres or whatever, where they're like, okay, well, we need a piece of music at the end here that's going to sound like Max Richter's On the Nature of Daylight or whatever it's called, so we'll just do something like that. We need this moment to be like Guardians of the Galaxy because there's big dollar there. And so it just felt like, at its worst, you know, I thought of Surrogates. I thought of the Divergent trilogy. I thought of The Creator, Demolition Man, you know, which is probably the fucking best, the best of them. You know, all of those things just being thrown at you. It's like the multiverse reference, but a thing with all the different Spider-Man villains, but this time it's just films that exist in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to... The film has no identity. So it's just...
Yeah.
It like whenever there's tension or a serious moment, there's some comedy so you don't have to think about or concentrate on the serious bit for too long.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get through this film without just feeling total dissonance.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are good things, but I'll leave that there for now.
Sure. No, that is it. It is the worst thing you can say about it is just how thoroughly bland it is, and that unfortunately is quite the condemnation, I think, in this day and age, especially with this money costing so much money to make. You know, one of the most expensive films to ever be made, and it is articulating a really bland, soulless message, and that money is not on screen. And considering how many projects Netflix have quite famously passed on or stalled on, including potentially what could have been the last project from David Lynch before he died, you know, it's just such a condemnation of that enterprise as being so thoroughly risk-averse and anti-art. And I feel like
market saturation.
Yeah, it's that. It's the need to compete in a marketplace where it seems to be doing okay. Like, I don't know how much money they're still pulling off of Office repeats, which, you know, my admittedly at this stage probably dated reference is that was what most of the traffic through Netflix was people watching The Office again.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money they're still raking off of that, but it's incredible that they're so risk-averse at this stage, that they are so willing to pander by putting out something that is just the very worst parts of our modern culture, the very most uninspiring parts of, like, a Marvel movie. You know, this reminds me of Quantumania.
Yeah, we're all thinking of Quantumania during this.
Oh, God. It did. It reminded me of Oblivion as well. Oblivion is also a movie that looked good but had absolutely no personality and just borrowed things from literally everywhere that it could. Except this movie doesn't even look good. It has this really bland, horrific Netflix visual style, which I was trying to place a little bit how we arrived here. Because if you look at the early noughties and the early Russo Marvel films, the style is very much aping the Dark Knight, sort of Christopher Nolan, clean lines, you know, smoothness, shaky cam, you know, that kind of thing. At some point, and I wonder if the Guardians of the Galaxy might be a turning point or the beginning of one, you get into garish colors but with a muted color palette, if that makes any sense. So everything's brightly colored, but it's not. It's faded. That's how you end up eventually with things like Wicked, a movie that is, you know, I guess pastel-y in its aesthetic because all of the sets were designed to be bright green, bright pink, bright everything. And then you just really desaturate the colors when you film it. And so you get this kind of washed out, mushy kind of look. Which also, when you render it in browns, like this film mostly is, it's mostly sort of desert shots. Everything just has this sludgy kind of feel, like a recent Zack Snyder film.
Yeah, it does. And again, it's, I mean, pastels are very much a safe option.
I guess so.
I like wearing different colors, but pastels, you know, you can do that safely. It's almost like they don't want any particular identity because they don't want to inspire any great emotion, and it feels very reflected in the writing as well. I mean, the big thing for me is, you know, this is a fun concept, and the fact that it's an adaptation of an illustrated novel probably helps that, because the writing does absolutely nothing to carry this. The writing doesn't give you anything. I'll touch on this later in a new segment, but it's a fun concept. But the movie, despite having like several years on similar films with similar messages, it has absolutely nothing new to say.
Yeah,
it's still clutching at like a straw man of get off your phones.
Oh God, yeah.
And the idea of splitting your brain between work and play is a fairly cool but upsetting, like, modern
and at no point is that really explored within the film. I remember that line, but like, is Alexander doing that? Like, is he simultaneously working and I guess what it's doing
Well,
is making it easier to just plug into something that's harvesting part of your essence, like the Matrix, really. I mean, it's all just the Matrix when you come down to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jason Alexander, as he says, whilst he's doing his parenting, he's on a tropical island with Cindy Crawford.
So important to Ted. Why doesn't Ted tell me himself?
Because my frontal cortex is in Vegas with Cindy Crawford. And I'm not missing that for you.
Yeah.
On the Neurocaster. So that's one example of it. And I found that, it's horrifying to look at that and see, the similarities in the way, we're expected to live and function and contribute nowadays. But the film doesn't say any of that. That's all my own sort of much contemplated horrors. The film doesn't need to, and it doesn't see the point, I don't think. I think it's more about just cracking jokes.
Yeah,
and
that's it. Once it establishes its initial premise, it just entirely diverges into a very bland, Marvel-y kind of road movie.
Marvel road, yeah, exactly. Yeah. A Marvel road movie, but not like a good, not like a good one from one of the good phases. It's very much the later era of what is this?
You mentioned one thing that occurs to me is the original source material. This is very similar to Persuasion in that sense, and as much as the original source material was a much darker, kind of grimmer, more melancholy experience, melancholy in general. And I feel like mainstream culture has really lost its ability to do melancholy in a convincing way. You still get it in quite nicely in sort of smaller films. But both Persuasion and The Electric State were both made to be much more bland and generic and sort of upbeat, so that it could appeal to a wider market, which is a shame because melancholy can sell. This book sold. It can speak to very large groups of people. Look at Tim Burton's stuff. There was always a profound sense of sadness there. But
I think the one thing that Persuasion, that adaptation has is it's coming after tens of other adaptations of Persuasion, and you if I'm being gracious, you have the choice: do I do another adaptation and try to better what exists, or try something new? Whereas this, it could have better reflected the mood of the original piece to. If they loved it or were invested in the original material, try and popularize it. Don't just make a marvel of it.
No, but that's the thing, is both of them feel like cynical attempts to make the films more marketable. It's interesting. You mentioned a reference. You made a reference there to The Creator. The what's his fucking name? Gareth Edwards film.
Yeah.
Because I thought about The Creator during this, and as I saw that film in the IMAX. The BFI IMAX kind of thing, and there's a lot I disliked about it, but I do have memories of it feeling cinematic, and so I loaded it back up and watched the first 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Within that 10 minutes, I was surprised to find it actually opens with newsreel footage relaying plot points to this world. The fact that robots were created. It starts with a jolly kind of infomercial sort of robots will join us in the workplace and help us out, and there's some alternate history kind of stuff going on, just like The Electric State. But very quickly, an atomic bomb goes off and it goes quiet, and then it cuts in with this really menacing press release speech with no music and a really sinister sense of the uncanny as they articulate the fact that there's been an atomic attack and now robots won't be tolerated anymore, and kind of America's at war with Asia for putting up with AI. That's really interesting. And then it's beautiful. It opens on a wide shot of an establishing shot, and it's gorgeous. And soldiers emerge from the water, and suddenly it's like, oh, this is a fucking movie. This is only the first 10 minutes. And there's great graphic design as well on all of the titles and stuff. And then you cut to John David Washington at his day job after his origin story, and there's a really heartbreaking interaction with a robot. And you're like, yeah, this is it. This is the melancholy, sad future that this could have been. And I'm sure if I keep watching, all the problems that I remember from the first time are going to come back and be there. But the point is,
puts it in a different light, doesn't it?
Yeah, some movies feel like movies, and some really just feel disposable and nonsensical.
It's an interesting. Grateful for being reminded of that, because when you think of the beginning of Electric State, it if the creator has that contrast, that sudden, abrupt contrast to silence and quiet.
Yeah.
Electric State has the obnoxious and I would say cringeworthy satire of the reporting of the protests.
Yeah.
And then it goes, okay, and now we've established the tone of the film. Let's continue.
Yeah.
And that remains. There's no, oh, this is different. It's like, here's the snarky teen to comment on it once in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll just sort of move on without changing anything.
Yeah.
And that's very much it. It's despite and again, like, despite the fact that, you know, things change and people do understand certain things, it very much feels like Flat Arc, the movie.
It does. There's very little going on with the world and the people. Let's tell you what, I can get into that a little further with our new segment. That's right, folks.
Whoa.
It's a brand new start for OGT because we've got a whole new segment in which we are basically going to look a little deeper at some very specific sequences to either support or challenge the things we've been talking about so far. That's right, it's Seen Good Thing. Cue the jingle.
Seen Good Thing. The seen good.
Wow. Easily the best one yet.
I don't know how anyone could do that.
In that time frame, for that amount of money? Fuck yeah.
Forget about it, please.
Okay, what's your... well, how many do you have? I have 2 scenes I'd like to get into a little.
2 scenes, but they're quite brief and they sort of, you know, blend into the same point.
Mine's pretty similar, so yeah, let's just do both yours and then both mine.
All right, I thought you were going to say let's just do both of ours at the same time. I don't know why I thought you'd suggest that.
Let's just start talking.
I was scared. It would save on time, make editing pointless. So they've just stolen Ted's mum's car.
Okay.
And they're establishing that the robot is Chris. He is alive, and he's alive and in trouble. And they stop and get out a map and establish where to go. And the Ke Huy Quan knows how to find the brother. And there's a moment where the robot Christopher, because he has like a Woody style dialogue reel. He only has a few options that he sort of rolls between.
Yeah.
To try and make certain points.
He's essentially Bumblebee, but with short phrases instead of songs.
Where they get look out! Look out! Look out for the rock monster! Jesse! There's trouble on the moon.
Put that back.
You're my special.
No.
We can team up. We can defeat the rock monster.
Why are you here?
We can team up.
Put it back.
We can team up.
Put it back.
We can team up.
Oh, great! I hadn't thought of that. And so you know, it's a fairly hit and miss idea. But then they take out the map. He points at the location of Ke Huy Quan and Ke Huy Quan. He points at the map, and there's a close up of the finger prodding the map.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, "Believe in yourself," and it was it surprised me, and you know, it made me laugh, and I started to think that the interactions between Millie Bobby Brown and the robot brother, there was a pretty good mix of humor and heart, whereas the movie sort of tried to like divert from the heart and the serious stuff, lest anybody feel too weird about it.
Yeah.
I will say this moment definitely, it probably benefited from the restricted dialogue options, because it meant having to pare back by necessity, and not focus too much on the shoddy writing. But then I found the flashbacks, sort of thinking about the context of the two of them together, the flashbacks even with like the meat brother, the real life brother.
Yeah.
I found I really like their dynamic. I thought they had a really great chemistry.
Yeah.
I thought, and I don't know, it felt very real. Even if the script was a bit dodgy, if the script was a bit janky, it still managed to feel real between the two of them. And you know, that's a heart and a core that I wish there was more of, to be honest. When she finally meets is reunited with her brother
Yeah.
by connecting to the neurocaster that's connected to his meat body in that little tube at the end. She finds him just sat on the sofa, like hugging a cushion and looking anxious and terrified and alone. And it was really horrible to think that that's just how he spends all of his time in his head, and has done for the last however many years. And they just managed to get across a lot of the heart and the stuff that strengthened the movie in these very short back and forth scenes between the two of them. And I think they had a nugget of something there. If they weren't going to do a proper, not that you have to do a proper adaptation, but if you weren't going to adapt at the Electric State and celebrate what makes it strong, visually or thematically, then at least you had that. So it was a weird, like, it didn't save the movie, but it made the movie bearable because I was emotionally invested in the two of them.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. As I was as you were describing these sequences, I was thinking the movie does feel like it moves away from them. It does feel like it gets more interested in, honestly, the characters it feels more confident writing, which is Chris Pratt and his wacky sidekick, because they are movie characters and they're more familiar than potentially this somewhat troubled young girl who, beyond her love for her brother and beyond her determination to get him back, doesn't have a whole lot going on, to the point where the interactions between them do have this awkward thing where, you know, she's encouraged him to go back to college and such because I don't know how much else there is to her, really, in terms of advice. But you're right, there is something profoundly melancholic and quite appealing about the fact that the brother, who is in this horrific situation, can only communicate through the very upbeat expressions of a mascot. And the whole commercialism aspect of it is very interesting as well, but doesn't, you know, I don't know how much, there's no self-awareness there in terms of these robots are all mascots and sort of things of commercialization that have come to life and are trying to live their lives whilst, you know, the books I've been led to believe have this really interesting interplay between the positivity of marketing and the grimness of the realities that they're living in. I think at one point you see a billboard advertising these headsets, and it says something like winning design awards and wards.
Okay.
So it's like these headsets are allowing them to win the award, but also they're really fucking cool and you should buy one. And it's like that incongruity. But there is something very melancholy about the idea that the robot can only speak for these upbeat kind of, you know, let's defeat the rock monster, you know, let's team up kind of things. And it's just... beneath all of that is a sort of heartbreaking situation. But again, I just don't feel like the Russos had the confidence to let anything genuinely sad play out beyond the most schmaltzy, sentimental kind of ways. So that's a shame.
Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah. Well,
good performances from those two.
Yeah, I think so. All right, my two scene good things are the first scene with Cosmo, actually. So just before yours, there's the scene in which... So just to be clear, these aren't good scenes that we've picked out. The name might mislead you. This is just us looking further at two scenes in order to explore the film a little bit, move through them. Bit move through them. The first scene with Cosmo, in which Millie Bobby Brown hears something rattling around outside, goes out to the yard, experiences the robot, and then the robot comes through into her room and speaks to her for the first time. Again, I like the same thing, which is the talking, you know, the robot having to communicate through the short phrases. But one thing that occurred to me was just the scene was very similar to E.T. Elliot finding E.T. in the garage for the first time. But there's no darkness to any of the frames. Everything is so plainly visible. There's no shifting thing. Oh, did I see it? Did I not see it? Everything is very deliberately just there. And, you know, I seem to remember, like, I don't know the extent to which you saw E.T. in the marketing for E.T., which is surprising considering that how much that movie is invested in E.T. But, like, I'm picturing the poster right now and it's a finger or it's the silhouette of a bike. I can't picture like anything that really depended on what E.T. looked like, and I think that builds a sense of mystery. You know, Cosmo was all over the marketing for this.
Yeah, you know, of course.
So there's no suspense. Like, what does this robot look like? You know, what are these robots like?
Well, that's a deeper understanding and intelligence, isn't it? Advertising it in a way that sorry to interrupt, but like advertising it in a way that isn't just here are the people, They're in the film.
This is what you're going to get. This is exactly what you're going to get. Don't worry.
You've already given us the money in your subscription fees. Here's the people in the film.
Please click on it. So yeah, there's no darkness, no silence. The tone shifts immediately from threat to comedy. Like there's a moment with her being genuinely afraid of the robot, and they're trying to make it seem like a threat, and then straight away she's like, "All right, buzz off!" Like it's nothing to her.
Yeah.
And Jason Alexander comes in, and he treats it like a fox has gotten into the house. Shouldn't people be afraid of robots?
Yeah.
It immediately any sense of like momentum within the scene is lost. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is their arrival at the mall. What was it called again? Blue Haven?
Was it Blue Sky Haven? Or was it
Blue Sky Haven? I'm not sure, but Blue Sky Haven. They arrive there, and it reminds me of the scene from AI. Again, every scene from this is from something else. The scene in AI where, for the first time, I can't remember the main character's name, Haley Joel Osment, meets other robots in the woods. And there's such a sense of, again, I've compared to another Spielberg film, but there is such a sense of wonder to the robots that appear. There's such a, I remember one of them was a trailer moment when a woman runs up and puts her face like right in the camera and then looks left, and you realize that most of the head is like hollow space.
Oh, yeah.
Between her face and the back of her head. But there's such a sense of wonder to this little community of robots before they then get herded up and taken to that awful kind of funfair place.
Yeah.
Again, it's a celebration of consumerism, first of all. It's briefly preceded by Chris Pratt listing menu items from Panda Express, and that's the joke.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's all comedy. There's no sense of wonder. And the music is trying its best. I think generally Alan Silvestri was trying his best in quite a few of these sequences, but it can't summon the sadness of faded glory that this scene needed to represent. And the frames just feel too unintentional in their layout. So, yeah. And I think those two scenes do summarize a lot of my issues with The Electric State, which is that it just doesn't have a good sense of wonder. Jurassic Park was on TV earlier, and one thing Spielberg does better than anyone else is just building a sense of, ooh, wow.
Yeah.
And the Russos are just woefully incapable of doing it, and that's a shame because they are the fourth highest grossing directors of all time now. Maybe fifth?
Wow.
Yeah,
it's hard to have a sense of wonder when it's just, here it is.
Yeah.
When you answer all the questions, there can be no wonder.
It bespeaks a culture that is increasingly brand-led instead of artist-led, and that's just a little sad for me.
Yeah. And for me.
Anyway, that's our Sing Good Thing.
Sing Good Thing. Sing Good. Can't believe I have to play this live every single time. But you can hear the difference.
You are more tired the second time round. There's a lot more nuance going on. Listen to it twice, folks. Let's get into our old sections, though. Our old, lovely, charming, bollocky segments. Let's quickfire.
All right.
Quickfire.
I liked the opening little like blum blum bling.
Yes,
Ding,
again,
ding,
that
ding.
motif is very melancholy. The it reminds me of some fucking thing. I can't place it, but my god, is it familiar.
I mean, this score, Silvestri, I don't know if he just got the direction to be like, we want a Thomas Newman sounding song, we want a Ludovico Einaudi song, we want a Max Richter. But he was doing everything.
He was quite the impressionist. Maybe they were using placeholder music that Silvestri had to try and match, but the general theme, I liked it. It was the saddest part of the whole film, and I do feel this film should have been sadder.
It feels like the kind of music that would be in The Creator, for example.
La Creator.
La Creator.
Well, very similar in terms of its artistic measurement, mate. My first one is Jesus, He's Got a Barbecue.
Jesus, he's got a barbecue! Coming!
You quoted it earlier.
Stupid.
It's a stupid, funny gag. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, on the same sort of line, the pain in Christopher's face as he's trying to reconcile the expectations placed upon him in the first scene. It's good. I felt that panic before, not from expectations. I've never given anyone reason for those, but that.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
Don't worry though.
Sort of face.
He's got a cocky line to end the scene on.
Stuck, aren't you?
No. I'm done.
Take that.
I thought you meant me for a second. Please.
Oh no,
you know what I just said about
expectations. Your lack of expectations.
Don't do it.
I will say the art that they did directly lift from the books.
Yeah.
The various compositions, which did it include the giant ducks? One of the most iconic images from the books. I can't remember the giant ducks.
Can't remember any giant ducks from this film.
I don't think the giant ducks made the cut, but
there's a big bear.
The stuff they directly cut does look nice conceptually and compositionally, even if they've missed the style of the original art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some big robots.
Big monsters. You can see. You definitely see it more in things like the robot scavs. And things like that, and then just that general. It's like Weta-esque, hyper realistic bits of CGI that work. I mean, speaking of the scavs, that one a bit later on, that one robot head just going humans. Was existentially bad. Was a horrible thing.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
I did find in general the robots did look quite good. Maybe we take special effects for granted, but you know, I did find that the CG on the fucking robots, and they must have had practical robots for some of it, because sometimes it did just look like an actual physical object in that space. And if that's CGI, then congrats. But I'm sure they used some practical stuff.
Well, you know who's credited in this movie, Paul?
Who?
Terry fucking Notary.
Oh boy!
So
he played the big monkey robot.
What are you going to say? Paid the big monkey dollars.
That's what he gets. You get monkey dollars.
That's what you get when you pay for Terry. But yeah. And with that, some of the robot march shots were fun. And some of them, were all smoky and like steamy and grimy, like street marches that also just had like giant metal bears and whatnot in. I thought looked pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was also that was right off the back of recognizing Holly Hunter and that general like sense of.
Who did Holly Hunter play? I missed her.
She was interviewing the Tooch at the beginning.
Oh God, that's a tiny role. But then again, so was Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of tiny roles, next up is Coleman Tiny Rolls Domingo. Who plays a single
Tiny
scene,
Rolls.
but was good. I liked him.
Yeah.
I always like him in it. He's got a great face. I love his characterful face, and he brings that here. He brought his face with him, and I appreciated that.
Remember that time he forgot his face?
Oh, that movie was worthless.
Oh, to be honest, they never let him hear the end of it though, which is justified.
Never getting an Oscar now.
When Millie Bobby Brown is
Billy Bob 40 Brown
getting chewed out by the principal of the school for not wearing her Neurocaster. She says, "Well, maybe I should have a talk with your mom." And there's a pause, and she goes, "Turn the page." Of her file, which it's a bit of a Marvel snappy thing, but it's also it felt believable and good at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yes, in general, too much Chris Pratt sort of buddy sidekick banter in this, but one that I did enjoy was when they're complaining about how his fridge has stopped working because his robot friends sort of cut the cord. And he's talking about how he could go and eat other things. And he says, "You've got all those sort of, I can't remember, it's like some things in the back." And he's like, "Those are lunch boxes."
Yeah,
They don't come with lunch. I just like that. The idea of having to explain a lunchbox doesn't come with free lunch inside.
Yeah. That was good. That moment actually... There's a dramatic pause following that as he picks up when he notices the plug and he picks it up and he just stands and stares at Herm and he's a real good ridiculous picture.
Yeah,
it's standing there with the plug after that discussion and it signals quite well that sort of overly dramatic reactions coming. And it felt like quite I'm not going to say silly literate, but it was something literate.
Hey.
Human emotion literate? I don't know.
It just looked like it knew how to read.
It it looked like somebody knew what they were doing at some point. Maybe the porridge was good that morning.
Yeah. God bless that movie making
like
porridge.
I like that scene as well. Is it me? Does that one count?
I can do a quick one. I enjoyed the... generally, I did not like Hank Azaria's magician robot because I found his stuff just so over the top. Like, oh my god, how many times do I have to hear in a movie, we rehearsed this, guys? Like, fuck. Ugh. But I enjoyed his pervert's walk when he's walking towards the place and he's doing like a magician's kind of weird sort of gait, almost
magician,
like a sand walk, like a pervert, like a magician, almost like a sand walk from the Fremen in June. It's just this weird kind of gait that he has that I enjoyed quite a bit. It was fun.
Cool. I enjoyed how much scenes with him sounded like The Simpsons. That was good.
Yeah. Also, he's very obviously voicing another robot in the place because suddenly just Mo Sislak says something.
Someone threatens to cut someone. I mentioned this in my scene good one. What do you call it? Scene good thing.
Scene good thing.
Scene good thing. Oh,
everybody's favourite section.
Everybody's favourite perennial. Their favourite perennial. I mentioned this in the scene good thing, but didn't mention this specific scene in the scene good thing. One of the many flashbacks where they're like, "Oh, for God's sake, we've got to wedge in some human emotion somewhere." If not her methods for like calming him and bringing him down from the edge of his panic attack, the physicality and the dynamic was great and worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they're doing their scene from my scene good thing, where they go into the mall for the first time, one of the robots performing is just a taco robot playing the piano. I really enjoyed the face they've painted onto this taco robot, which is this really big dumb guy smile, which is good. I enjoyed that.
Nice. When Millie Bobby Brown yelled, no, Chris Pratt, I think yells "freeze" to Christopher, the robot boy. The robot does a fun like stand to attention that came out of nowhere and made me laugh.
I like that kind of thing.
I like laughing.
I like Jenny Slate in general. I love her in Marcel Michel with Shoes On, and I enjoyed her in this to some extent. She doesn't have much to do, but there are a couple of line deliveries I liked of hers, including, and it's a terrible line, because they interrupt an action scene in order to do some quippy dialogue, because of course they fucking do. And at one point it's like, why do you know how to do that? Because she just punched the heart out of like a robot. Yeah. And her line is, Dobermans? she actually says it. I fucking can't apparently. Dobermans.
What in the hell does the United States Postal Service need that for?
It's for Dobermans.
Dobermans?
Which is, I enjoyed her delivery of it. It was quite flat and matter of fact. But of course, Chris Pratt then seemingly riffs on it, and his riff is Dobermans.
Yeah. What? I liked that one as well because I've got it down as they're saying why does a postal service robot need that? And I hope I'm right. Her answer is for Dobermans.
Yeah.
And I for Dobermans.
Yeah.
Not just the Dobermans, but the four I really, really like. And there is a callback to that later, which it was like I'd forgotten about it, I guess. And it tickled me to see again.
Okay. I'm down to 1.
Okay, well, I should probably bust out the next 10.
Oh, shit! Tell you what,
taking
I'm going
this
to go to the
seriously,
other side of the room to get my phone. But
okay.
You go ahead. I need to get it for the OG team.
Okay, cool. Little does anyone know, but Salt's been doing this every time I say something on this podcast for the last couple of weeks. I don't think you can tell. Jason Alexander's massive red eye rings after he pulls off the Neurocaster is a fun reveal. Ke Huy Quan made me tear up the moment he started talking. I love that man. I love his face and his voice. And I think every time he speaks, it just takes me back to one of the many emotional moments in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's hard, not to just cry my fucking eyes out every time I think about it.
What do you cry your eyes out about, mate?
Oh, just
My great tits.
Well, after I got over that,
Yeah.
vulnerable enough. Ke Huy Quan's just very existence. Every time I see him, it just makes me think of his amazing moments in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I imagine something amazing and heartfelt is going to be said every time he opens his mouth. So I'm already tearing up in anticipation.
Oh.
Yeah. So did bring me down a bit.
You've not seen Love Hurts, have you, my friend, my dear friend?
No, and you can never fucking make me watch Love Hurts.
Please don't. Please never do. It's very important, I think, for you to never watch that movie.
Yeah, okay, thanks, mate. I liked Herm's. I liked how Herm came in a bunch of different sized models.
Right.
He had the big guy for carrying the van and his normal size self, and then when he dies and Chris Pratt has a bit of a he's going to come back because it's the movie, but also it keeps doing reverse shot of Chris Pratt and the dead Herm, and also Chris Pratt's confession is getting a bit personal to the point where I imagine a lot of people were cringing and being like, "Oh, this is a bit vulnerable for a film," but he comes back to life, but it doesn't feel like a cop out because it's just like a tiny. They haven't mentioned it before, but there's a super tiny version of himself that's been like inside the normal size one this whole time, which was good, and it made sense in the context of his character.
Yeah, that was my last good thing, actually, was the reveal of the very tiny version of him inside of the other thing, because again, you're right, it does make sense, but it's also just really funny as an image of just this even tinier robot coming out is a funny and logical sort of resolution to that.
Yeah.
Which I do not imagine was in the Electric State book.
Maybe it's the final page. Psych! No one dies. No one ever dies. The line of Chris Pratt's, all relationships are built on trust. There's a weird pause between on and trust, which really threw me, but tickle me enough to go back to listen to it again.
One of the reviews did point out his about face is so abrupt they have to recognize it in the movie by being like, when did you stop being an asshole? Because it's like, when did you stop being an asshole?
Yeah. I thought I was expecting and was disappointed when the reply wasn't. I didn't. Just no. I didn't.
Well, his reply is something like, "I didn't. I just got a haircut."
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like,
that's true. That
is not satisfactory, sir.
Made me laugh though because Chris Pratt he's good at that kind of delivery, which he does a lot in this movie. So if you like that kind of delivery, guys,
he does a lot in general in his career.
That's true. His whole career is kind of built on that.
That and his devotion to his church.
That really comes out in the Tomorrow War.
I love that. Oh, fuck me, Tomorrow War, another movie that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I know, right? I haven't seen it, and never will.
It's not a movie.
Okay. Oh, if it's not a movie,
it's not a movie.
I'm absolutely gonna download it and watch it on my phone. If it's not a movie,
fuck yeah.
I liked, even though Fring, was a hardened soldier or like a drone piloting soldier as well. I like that whenever he took his neurocaster off after like slaying a bunch of robots, he was just some fucking old dude with a cardigan.
Oh yeah.
Despite being a hard ass with a military background, just some old man in his house across the other side of the country. Just an old man.
Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
I'm gonna fucking leave it there, actually. Motherfucker.
I hope our last episode ends with that kind of anticlimax.
Nah.
Oh.
Okay. Let's check in with the OG team.
Please do.
Very rapidly becoming Jenny Soane's Corner.
I'm fine with that.
I'm more fine with that than I can possibly express.
Because it gives me a chance to say, Jenny!
And that's the most positive and wonderful phrase that we can possibly say on a regular basis. Here we go. Jenny Sunday says on Blue Sky, I actually really enjoyed this, despite the Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt oversaturation of everything these days. The schmaltz is a bit overwrought, but the desire for the real is appreciated. I like the robots best, I think, but Ke Huy Quan is a treasure. So glad he's back to acting. I like the robots best, but then again, that Jenny Slate postal carrier is curvy. Also, it didn't lean too heavily on nostalgia, but had some great song choices. I think we can get into some of the sentiment there. I do think the message is good. I just doubt its sincerity given the packaging in which it arrives at us. Jenny Slate was very fuckable. We can all agree on that. What else was in there? Kwei Hui Kwan, yes, I think so. I have had his post Everything Everywhere All at Once image smeared a little by Love Hurts, which sure did hurt. But otherwise, yes, I'm still glad to see him about the place because he does have that great earnestness.
Is it like a type 5 of his own writing that's like heavily racially motivated?
It is a shame that. No, it's just it's hard to explain, but it's undeniably him, but in just such a way as it really removes some of the luster. But anyway, that's for our review of Love Hurts,
which is never going to happen. Which makes it my most favourite review that we've ever done. Well, thank you for that, Jenny. You might be interested to know that I teared up 4 times.
Oh shit! Was it all Kwei Hui Kwan related?
No, probably twice, and then twice for Millie Bobby Brown and Christopher.
I teared up when I looked at the time it was when the movie ended.
Also, when I looked out the window because there was a draft, and I'm very sensitive.
Very sensitive, guys. My eyes are. My actual film membrane is hardened to fuck.
Calloused, yeah.
Although I will say, Old Boy is playing in my room right now, and it's the bit where Mido remembers seeing the ant. So, who's for fucking Cyborg now? I still can feel things about things I saw when I was 15.
I'm very confused. I've been wanting to go to bed for about the last hour, mate.
Well, let's get to that then.
Not because I'm tired. Just
fucking's on.
Beds are great. Mine's really good.
Thanks, OG team.
Thanks, OG team. And Jenny,
quick note about the one better thing. The one better thing.
Look, Blade Runner 2049, obviously a more sophisticated vision of tech-riddled future, even though this is set in the 90s. Mitchell's versus the Machines, I think.
Yeah, there it is.
You're going for your is that yours as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I like this Confluence episode.
Oh, and it's all coming together.
Was this episode 999 now?
Yeah, exactly.
On the very last episode before the last one.
Yeah.
Finally agree on one thing. This is the only thing we've agreed on this whole time.
Yeah. I think the thing about the Mitchells versus the Machines, which is Lord and Miller kind of joint directed by Mike. That looks like Rwanda. I assume it's not. Rianda. Mike Rianda. So what if it was Rwanda? It's fine.
So what if it was Rwanda?
So what if it was? We'll build a better one. So,
what film am I from?
I'm falling apart, everyone. But Mitchells and the Machines is not. It's a great movie. It's a shame it came out during the pandemic and there wasn't a chance to see it on the big screen. Yeah. Was it a Netflix? It was a Netflix. Fuck me.
It was a Netflix, which makes it all the more apt.
Yeah, all the more apt. And it actually handled really well. I'm going to sneeze again.
Really did.
Turn into fucking old men in movies when I sneeze.
Let me tell you what this means to me.
It's like the picture of Dorian Gray, except it's me when I sneeze.
Every time you sneeze, the clean version of you escapes.
Clean? You're implying I'm not the clean one, sir. And the filthy one does not live in my soul.
I see people lining up to get under your sneezes, mate.
Anywho, yes, what Mitchells versus the Machines does really well is it handles the tone really well. really well. Yeah, the tone is just really great. It moves between comedy and actual like sincerity and drama and all the rest of it very aptly, and I think that's quite remarkable. Yeah. And why that should be a more popular Netflix movie than the Bitchell Process,
than the fucking Suicide Guardians of the Force,
Adam and the Joking Bot.
State.
Yeah. Hell do. Go watch those. Also, The Creator. I can't imagine. I can't remember the rest of it, but I can't imagine it's as bad as this.
No. I remember coming out of that film and thinking, yeah.
There were moments there. I found the ending a bit boring, but hey, there we go. Sometimes you do, and that's the cost of sincerity.
Sometimes you find this podcast boring. It's not our problem though.
It's not our problem, bitches.
Priorities.
Please like and subscribe, and please leave a review. It's very important for our numbers.
Please like us and never stop liking us.
Never stop liking us for a moment. We're the best boys that you've ever met. Paul, how can people find out more about the OG team?
Well, I'm a little out of the loop at the moment on account of ceasing to care about any human endeavour, but you can do so on Twitter still, in spite of everything. We are going to dramatically leave Twitter, but in the future, when we're no longer doing the podcast, I think.
Oh, yeah. We'll be gone.
But it's going to be outrageous. But in the meantime, whenever we put out the call for one of the bad movies that we're going to be watching, which is one bad movie now. Keep an eye out, because you can share your good things. And
please
I think you'll find you probably didn't have the chance previously. But we're on Blue Sky, Facebook, and we put the call out on Patreon as well, so all the people who give us money can do the same thing.
All the people who give a fuck.
The people who don't give us money. Yeah.
I'm Paul Give a Fuck.
I've never pulled a fuck in my life.
And remember, the one good thing about TED 3, The Electric State, is the bits where you can actually tell that it was... You know what it is? It's that more people might check out the book.
Yes.
Yeah. Read the book, guys. That was the one better thing. Bye.
Bye.